Welcome to the 1000 Comics Podcast, the show that's pretty much just drawn together. How you doing, folks out there? I know it's rough. I know it is rough out there. It's important to remember that we're all in this together, this quarantine business. We are all in it together. Don't be selfish, snapping at people the way the president does on TV. The minute you start snapping at people, you realize you're being selfish. Uh, you know, Unless you have it really bad, then snap away. I mean, you lost your job and you're dying. I guess you gotta, you know, you feel free to snap. But like, I'm just realizing that a lot of people have it out there worse than I do, and I I feel for those people. First of all, on the show today, I have Vinny Beedle. We're going to get to that. It's the first ever crossover episode of the 1000 Comics Podcast. It's also an episode of Scumtown Podcast with Vinny Beedle. He introduces it his show. I end it as my show. But it is a 1000 Comics episode nonetheless. But we'll get to Vinny in a moment. I just want to talk about this quarantine for a little more. I mean, at first, I feel like I was acting childish about all this, like angry that I can't go do stand up comedy. Now, I'm like, I guess it's childish to be like, it's like, oh, the government's trying to take away this, and this from me. Where it's like, you know what? I gotta chill, man. Like, everyone is in this together. The whole world is basically quarantined, man. But there is that small part of my brain that's just like, go do guerrilla comedy shows. Take on the law like Lenny Bruce. You know? But I can't think that way. Instead, I just watched the movie Going the Distance with Justin Long. He had a poster of Lenny Bruce in his bedroom when he was making out with Drew Barrymore. Like, that's the closest I'm going to get to that. Lenny Bruce is just seeing a poster of him in a Justin Long movie, instead of going to do that guerrilla comedy show, instead of going to make a big group of people that could further expose, the disease and everything, you gotta chill out. You gotta stay at home and only work if, listen to the government, I guess. What did I want to tell you, folks? I wanted to talk about Brian Barganier's writers' workshop meetings I've been attending online. That's a good way to pass the time. You got to think of times to spend your time creatively, productively in different ways now. I mean, you can't go out and do stand-up comedy right now, so or even go to watch. It's like, I can't go to perform, you can't go to watch. It's like you got to find different outlets, right? Brian's workshop, Brian Barganier and Kate Clancy, they're an amazing comedy couple, and they have, writers and comedians from all over the states doing this workshop. And, I've been, I just attended one today, and I was pretty productive in it. If Colbert was to do his monologue right now, he'd say, "It smells in here since CBS in the morning started quarantining in our studio." That was one joke I wrote during the writers' meeting. Not the best, but still productive nonetheless. I'm glad. It was hard for me to even write this monologue today. It's rough out there, man. It is rough. So, you can buy my comedy album at Tumbleweeds and Niantic on vinyl. Hopefully, when they're open again. I just don't like how the government is crushing the small town business and letting the corporations just do whatever the fuck they want. I'm sorry. It's just it's not right to me. I realize people are getting sick, but anyways, you can listen to my comedy album online for free on YouTube. You can go to YouTube, type in Class Clown Revisited. It's on the same YouTube page as this podcast, so just, click the videos, check it out. Also, you can buy any of my books on Amazon.com. Scared Out of the Dickens, Renaissance Men, and Pawnbrokers. And, you know, stay healthy. Do the social distancing thing. You know, play your part. Play your part in this. You know, hopefully it's not going to be as long as we think. You know, we have to do this. But, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. So, please enjoy the interview I had with Vinny Beedle. It's a Scumtown episode too, so you'll hear him introduce it as Scumtown. It's also the 1000 Comics podcast. Enjoy.
Good to go. Hey, everybody, welcome. What's up? It's Vinny Beedle, your boy, the host of Scumtown Podcast. I'm here with a very funny comedian and writer and podcaster from Connecticut. He's been all over, and he hosts the 1000 Comics Podcast. Matt Heath, what's going on, dude?
Hey, what's up? What's up, Vinny? Vinny Boombox.
Matt, I appreciate you coming over today, man, during this serious corona situation.
Oh, man. This corona situation, it's friggin' ridiculous, man.
What do you think about it all?
Mostly getting angry at the media and stuff, because, like, who has corona? Who's dying from it?
You want to know really what's going on with it?
Like, what's really the deal with it? You know, I'm talking to my family, like,
do
the
you
older
get angry?
people in my life, you know?
Do you get angry? I mean, I am a pretty, like, I've known you a long time, and I've never really even seen you get angry. And you probably had some situations where you could have gotten angry at me. Or do you hold your anger in? Like, what kind of, I mean, I don't want you to get angry. That's for sure.
What, like, you want to just, like see me turn into the Hulk on this podcast?
No, I guess you just said I'm angry at the media. I just don't know how Matt Heath gets angry. Is it just an internal feeling that eats you alive inside?
No, it's just, like, my inner, like dad after a heart attack kind of thing. Like, the news makes me angry.
You're just mad at the news because it's something to do today. Because you're recovering from a massive family heart attack. One that your kid's seen, and then you're blaming them for because you've eaten terribly for 20 years. Thank you for coming, Heath. I love you, man. When did we meet? When did we meet? Let's tell everybody when we met. We met years ago, dude. When did you start doing comedy?
I met you at Joker's Wild, and I remember, like, Darren Rivera was talking to me about you, and he was like,
before you met me?
I can't even remember. It was like when I just met you, so it could have been like right after, you know.
Well, just for the listeners.
But he just described you as the used car salesman of comedy.
That was your first description of me before we really had interactions? What year was that?
And then I've had a time to assess it over the years.
He's like, I'm not listening to any of your questions. I'm just going to fucking discuss it.
And he was completely right.
You know what's funny? Is when he first said that to me, now I had been selling used cars at the time, and when he first told me that, I got mad. But also a few years later, I was in Atlantic City, and a kid I was working with came up to me one day, and he said, you know what, Vinny? You're a scumbag. And it got me so pissed off I wanted to fight the kid, but I didn't. And now my name is Scumbag Vinny. So I think I just had a hard time accepting who I was, maybe. I was like one of those anime kids that in a cartoon was just not really finding my path yet. But Darren was right. But Darren, I would look at Darren Rivera as a snake in the grass of comedy. there's a guy that'll be there every time a comedian can't make it to a show.
Yeah, but there's probably some duality with that. Just because you're looking at him as a snake in the grass, he's probably, you guys are probably thinking the same thing about each other.
Of course.
And vice versa, you know?
Of course.
Because you guys, I remember you guys were really, pushing your brands back then. I don't know how Darren, pushes his brands now, but I mean, you hear him on like the radio for like those Bobby V's things, you like hear him.
Oh, he's
like,
on the. He
gets like advertised on rock stations and shit.
Oh, does he really?
Like, he must be doing something right,
Well, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. I used to really keep up with everybody's shit, and Darren was one of those guys when I was at Joker's Wild. I was a manager there for a few months, and then I decided to leave the job. And literally, I told them, we're having a conversation with the owners of Joker's Wild, and this is like 2015, and I'm telling them, unless you're going to do things the way I want to do, there's no point in me even having this job. They're not paying me a salary. You know what I mean? So I said, I'm going to leave. I said, I'll still promote shows here, but I'm not going to be the manager here. Within 5 minutes of walking out of the club, Darren Rivera was walking in to talk to them about the new job. It's like he had already been kind of planting it in their head maybe for a little while. So once that happened, you got to understand too, a couple days before, after that happened, me and him smoked a blunt outside Joker's, talked about shows that I was going to be doing there as he was the new manager of the club and that I would still bring a ton of people. And he canceled my first show on a Saturday night for a male strip show that had 60 guaranteed women coming.
And he was wearing a top hat, and he had like a quill and a fucking,
so that,
with like a face, like, this man is canceled. And he wrote it in like cursive writing.
Maybe, but also I had
who did he mail it to?
I don't know. But I had about 100 people coming to that, and so that moment I just kind of deleted him from my life. I just didn't even pay attention to anything he was doing. And I don't listen to rock radio like you do, so I don't fucking hear his ads on FM rock radio.
Like, I don't listen to rock radio. I have to tune into different stations all the time to try to win Disney cruises for my family.
Constant change. No, Matt, I have a fucking iPhone and play music that doesn't require the rice and bean Joker to tell me about his Saturday night gig at some Italian restaurant in Windsor. That's the truth, Heath. You know what I mean? I can just play classical music.
My family could have owned that Italian restaurant.
I'm not all Italian. Just my morals and sense of business.
So, you had considered buying that Italian restaurant at one point.
I would never buy. Real Italians don't buy restaurants. They just take over failing ones. So the guy that's really holding the bill.
Are you worried about your freedom of speech being taken away with this quarantine thing?
No. Why, you think that's a thing with martial law? Is that what happens?
I mean, closing restaurants by 8 p.m., shit like that. Letting old people shop early. It seems like it's all just a big government chess move to me. Like,
to stop the comedians from fucking saying stuff?
Just to get people to vote for Trump.
Whoa, that's not safe.
Nah, it's all good.
We dropped another microphone, and I spilled coffee on my dining room chair. All right, so we knew that wasn't going to be a good setup.
Well, we had a bad mic setup with my shit in the first place, and it was like, it's Vinny's place. Like, why not just use his stuff? He's clearly got a thing going on with it.
Well, we'll just keep this chair in here long enough so hopefully it dries and my wife doesn't get pissed at me.
And maybe if I bring my laptop home and plug it into the hard drive, it'll...
You had a funny theory about why your computer didn't work before the show started. And you said that it was intimidated by my superior MacBook Air.
First of all, it's a bigger MacBook Air.
Yeah.
I mean, mine's got the Homer on the back of it, holding the apple.
That's pretty cool.
But Vinny Boombots here gave me fucking Homer with the moo on.
As a pop figure.
Dude, this has been like, it's like an inside joke that like fucking I complain like a lot of my shirts are too small for me.
Really?
At work. And my boss just goes like, you should be like Homer and get the moo.
He said, "Oh, really?"
And dude, you look up like fucking Homer's moo on fucking online.
Did they sell them?
Dude, they sell all sorts of shit.
I seen that at Hot Topic, and I was like, the episode. I was a kid, and I was like a skinny kid. I'm kind of chunky now. I'm not say kind of. I'm very chunky now. And I just remember finding it so funny that a fat guy was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna wear an old lady's, garment," and it was just hysterical. One of the best episodes I think ever, and deservingly so. A pop figure was made from it,
Yeah, Moo Homer. He's the greatest.
So Darren Rivera told you I'm the car salesman of comedy. That was what year? You still didn't. What year was that? When was this? When did you start?
I have this. Let's see.
This was. You've been doing this for a long time.
2013, I started.
Yeah. Okay. Damn, dude. This is 7 years or so you've been doing this thing.
Yeah, doing the whole entertainers, show business kind of lifestyle.
What was your inspiration for writing? Because I love how you write your jokes. I love the stuff you write about. I always used to watch you at open mic nights and shows and say, I wish I could write jokes like that, Sometimes I would even get mad at myself for going home and not being able to write jokes exactly like you do, So I just wonder where your inspiration came from with all that.
That's a good fucking compliment, man. I'm wondering who this last pop figure is all the way to the left. Who the hell is this guy? He's wearing like a devil mask and stuff?
I would like to say it's from The Nightmare Before Christmas.
It is?
I think so.
I don't know.
It's my wife's pop figure, but
he's standing next to Woody, and I'm hoping Woody fucking pushes him out the window. And the fucking fat bitch from
The Little Mermaid.
Yo, you can't have Woody in the window like that. That's where you worry, but he's ready to push all those fucking
This
toys
is my
out the
wife's
window.
domain, man.
Dude, have you ever seen Black Friday Woody?
No.
How Disney and Pixar shut down because the original intentions of Woody were so bad.
Really?
To just push fucking Buzz out the window and be the fucking villain. And then like a Nazi starts like ordering around the toys. They're like, nah, we're not making a movie like this.
Whoa.
You gotta make Woody a good guy.
Really?
Yeah. So like the original intentions of Woody
was a villain.
And he does
kind of, these two.
But just think of it.
She has meaning behind why she likes each of them.
Think of it in the sense of the story, though. It's like you go back into your,
Well, he always had that resentment, right? Like,
this room is like a room in the house that not everybody's in all the time. These toys are doing whatever the hell they want here, in a sense. Like, their essence is always there. Woody's always ready to push these motherfuckers out the window.
Oh, so you like the fact that he's even on the window?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, she put him on the windowsill, man. I mean, there's not much room in here. Look at all the other shit she's got in here, so. But yeah, I mean.
Buzz should be laying in the corner with missing an arm. Oh!
I have the Mrs. Nesbit Buzz that's in pieces. Did you know what that is in Toy Story?
Yeah.
Where the little girl dresses him up.
Yeah.
But my kid broke it even more, so I just have a Buzz splattered like pieces.
I'm glad that because you are that guy in a sense.
What guy? The guy that's ripped apart?
You're Buzz in that scene.
What do you mean?
That's, as an artist, that's fucking you.
You think so? Explain further.
Just look at this room for example. Like you share with your significant other, and I find that fascinating. Like I was never able to do that.
Really?
That's why I'm single now, man.
Do you think that's the reason? Is that women end up being like, "Hey, we gotta be it." See, listen, Italians have this thing in their blood where once you have a wife, that's your wife forever. And so what I learned once I was in a relationship was a woman, especially a strong, independent woman who knows what she wants, if she's going to give you the life, like Jessica has given me the life I wanted. She drives me all around the country. Everything is comedy first, but it's bills and family first and the kid first, but then it's comedy. You know what I mean? And so I just always kind of felt like if she's going to give me that, I got to give her everything else. You know what I mean? And so, I don't know, maybe you just haven't found that person that's ready to give you what you really want. Because comedy is what we really want at the end of the day. We want to be successful at what we do. You know, I mean, that's because that brings other things, doesn't it?
You know, something I find fascinating, like, you listen to, like, you know, like, people like Jim Gaffigan, where it's like, his wife was like his co-writer throughout like his whole career until like I just heard her on a podcast and she had like brain cancer and stuff.
Oh man,
we've
seen him live. She loves him. Jessica loves Jim Gaffigan. We went and seen him at Foxwoods, and it was one of the most depressing shows I've ever seen because there was like 3,500 people to watch him. But he had done all this new material that like was like, it was good, but it wasn't like what you want to see from him. And then at the end, he did a curtain call and did the Hot Pocket joke. But you could tell it was just to get the fans to go nuts, and he hated it. And dude, I fell asleep during his hour. Never would I have thought that. I think he's one of the funniest guys that exists. But when he's in, like, Foxwoods, he's probably been there, 50 times, you know? Especially the Fox Theater. He wasn't even at MGM at that night. You know what I mean?
Right.
So he's probably like, this is just a fucking another casino gig. You know what I mean? And so that was when I was like, that was the first moment where I was like, holy shit, man. These celebrities, like, you can make it to that level and still hate it. Right? So when I started working with Artie Lange and Bam and seeing their addiction issues and how fucked up they were, I have already invested in these guys money-wise and everything before I even got to know them. Right. Setting up shows and tours and shit like that. And once I seen them unhappy, I redefined my definition of happy, Matt. This is the truth. I was addicted to trying to get famous for the longest time. The minute I got fame, actual fame, and when I mean fame is like hundreds of thousands of people hitting you up in a single day. That's what I mean by fame. Like, you can't refresh your Instagram feed without there being tons of shit, you know? And the first time I went viral like that was when Bam told the fans I took all the money from the shows and went to Disney World. And 250,000 people came to my Instagram page threatening my life. And so the first fame I had wasn't the real fame that I thought was going to be. You know what I mean? Like when I first started comedy and I pictured being this comedian that's in front of all these people and they love me, I ended up being hated as a form of fame. Then all the other comedians that didn't like me anyway were chiming in on Reddit and under fake names saying, no, this is what Vinny's really done and, you know, this kind of shit. And so I was like, yo, man, I need to redefine my definition of happiness. I love comedy. I love making people laugh. But what is going to make me long-term happy? My family. And that's when everything kind of changed with that stuff. And that's real shit. Because, think about it. What are our goals? To be like fucking Artie Lange. Or to be that famous. Or to work like Jim Gaffigan. Adam Sandler, I was at a movie premiere with this guy, dude. He was the most miserable fucking dude, Matt, you ever met in your life. He had 2 security guards around him. Guy's worth $350 million. Beautiful wife. All his friends, Spade, Rock, they're all partying. And he's sitting there with a frown on. So you got to think, like...
I, in a sense, find it hilarious what you do, actually.
As far as what?
Just, your business sense, man.
Talk about it.
You're just good at it. You're good at what you do. You pitch yourself.
I guess when you put your real passion and like feelings into it, it comes across like people they're interested and they invest in it.
Yeah.
But like at first I just wanted to do comedy and make people laugh. I mean, that was the essence of it all. And it just, all the politics that all these other bullshit comics and shit do around the local scene force people like me who have this strong-minded, like, I'm going to go out there and do whatever the hell I want to make it. They forced me into a corner of leaving the state, working other places, going after celebrities. They didn't accept us around here as... The first time I ever did open mic at Joker's Wild, I was 17, Matt, or 18.
Right.
18. And I had like 50 friends show up to open mic night. And I was in high school. And Patos came up to me and he said, dude, you got to help me build this mic. You're going to help me build this mic. And every week, you know, we're going to perform. And I'm going to make sure you're under my wing.
He's like, I'm a big Mick and I need a boom-bots around here. I need Vinny boom-bots.
And I was like, well, how much money am I going to get paid? Because I'd already been selling cars at that time.
I got to explain to you why I keep calling you Vinny boom-bots.
Dude, everybody calls me boom-bots. You don't have to... That's something, when you're an Italian kid named Vinny growing up, that's like a name you get called all the time.
Dude, but that was like Andy Kaufman, like, played this doctor.
Yeah, I'm a big Kaufman fan, yeah.
Fucking A. But, like, I just love that scenario because, like, Kaufman was such an enigma, but even Dangerfield was like, no, you just gotta play my doctor, you know what I mean? You know, like,
because guys like Rodney really only were self-centered in their thinking of comedy, right?
Yeah.
Like he thinks like me in a way, Rodney Dangerfield, because he knew Kaufman was a huge star and a comedian, but he didn't really know his humor like that. So he's like, yeah, Kaufman's gonna be in it.
But no, he actually knew his humor perfectly because he's like, he gives him Vinny Boo Bots.
Yeah.
He knows he's getting that Vinny Boo Bots.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing about Kaufman is if he was into a character, he committed. He made that character.
He knew
happen.
he was a kid that was gonna fuck with him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Same reason he worked with Bill Murray and all that shit, man. Like,
I don't know. Kaufman was the next level. I became obsessed with Andy Kaufman for a little while, man. Like, I still am pretty obsessed with him. I just have learned all I can.
I actually wrote as a Facebook post yesterday. I was like, I just seen Rob Reiner without a mustache on fucking TV for the first time. Not like a young Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
I've never seen one of those episodes of All in the Family where he's just completely clean
Where did you
shaven.
watch that?
And I'm like, he looks just like Andy Kaufman. Dude, I was watching on fucking antenna TV.
Really?
It was TV that was just coming in on the fucking antenna.
And it was on. That's your life defined right there. That's how you watch TV, I feel like. You know what? I thought for a long time about the Man on the Moon. When I seen Man on the Moon like 2 years ago, I watched it again with Jim Carrey as an adult. And I watched it, and I was so amazed with this guy. I was so amazed with Andy Kaufman because he had a brain that was like... So first of all, genius of him to do the TV thing during a special where people were getting up and hitting the TV because they thought it was fucking up.
Yeah.
What that was simple move did was it brought normies like me who don't think like you and Andy when you write.
Yeah.
It brought me into his world to say, wow, so he just likes to do shit to get a reaction. Dude, in a lot of ways, guys that I've worked with, like TJ Miller, he's like an Andy Kaufman, man, of our generation. Not in a way, he's not nowhere near like that kind
but he's constantly in search for that visceral reaction. I got you.
Yeah. And I know you guys have your history, you know, and that's funny to me because he ended up kind of revealing himself to me as that person, you know. Yeah. I remember telling you how close we ended up getting in a short period of time because he took me in like he's this kind of I forget what it's called, a nihilist, where he believes that death is imminent or that, you know, death is coming anyway, so you might as well live a certain way. And he also believes that things happen for a certain reason. So basically, at the time I hit him up, a guy in Chicago who helped him become a headliner died.
Right.
And he met with me and was like, I'm going to help you the same way this guy helped me. And his intentions were there, but he really did not help me at all.
Was it at least not funny what I did?
Yeah.
Put that Facebook post with him as like Yogi Bear, like the Yogi Bear fucking duds and shit. That's what I would do to you, Vinny.
You think so?
Hopefully the cartoon is going to be you wearing the goofy hat.
That'd be cool.
Dude, where do you find a Mickey hat that's almost the fucking goofy hat?
This Mickey hat, when I bought it, I thought to myself...
Because it almost is. If the brim's up high enough and you just had the ears, it's the fucking goofy hat.
I always thought I had big ears, so when I saw the hat, I was like, oh, I got the ears already, so this is perfect. You know what I mean? Because see how it doesn't have the ears, it's just his face, kind of. When Bam told fans that I went to Disney World with the money, I had already been to Disney World, but it wasn't with his money. And I had a Disney hat in the closet, and I put it on and did a few videos that went.
People of America, Vinny Beedle is not taking his kids on a fucking Disney cruise anytime soon. I'll tell you that much.
We're moving to Disney.
Holy shit.
We're moving to Orlando.
Dude.
That's going to be the new mothership for me.
You gotta understand with moving down to Florida, like I feel like it couldn't be like a permanent location for me, at least while I'm like young. Just because like I hate the mentality of like
people
hurricane season.
Oh yeah,
and the way it, you know, shapes people as individuals, and it's like it's weird because this whole coronavirus thing almost like makes people that way, like flighty, the way they are.
Worse,
Florida.
Probably, because they're all over the world like that now. Why haven't you developed this attitude of being a guy, like, all right, let me just ask you a real question. You'll work a great job where you're making tons of money at, you know, you still doing the pawn shop thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'll do something like that, real admirable, you're selling stuff, and then you'll work a second job delivering food. You're a hustler, bro. What in your mind never said, let me save enough, fuck relationships, fuck everything else, let me save enough money to turn my car into a fucking little mobile home where I sleep in the fucking backseat or whatever, and I set up a bunch of shows and travel around and live on the fucking road as a comic. I just never understood what that thing, like you're a bird that never got pushed out of the nest or something. You've traveled to Florida to live and done shows down there, but yet you've never developed like, I just want to be out there on the road. Because you have that talent, and maybe right here
to be a true road dog, though, it's just like what a life, you know.
Dude,
like,
we do it a lot more than you think. Like, what the difference with me is, I put a lot more effort into trying to make sure I make a certain amount of money per show.
But the other thing is, like, I feel like very obligated to paying like the federal government and fucking paying my student loans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, you have student loans. That's
yeah. I don't know. That's the only reason, like, I don't fucking stop grinding, man. Just paying fucking Uncle Sam back. You know what I mean?
I mean, you're talking about not going to Florida while you're young because you don't want to be stressing out about hurricanes that come around a couple months a year, but you're here stressing out about, shit that once you're older, you're going to look back at it and be like, I'm a comedian, man. What the fuck what was I doing? You're telling me you pay consistent payments to your school loan? Do you know there are millions of Americans that go delinquent on their student loans all the time, and as soon as they have $10 start giving the company again, they just, okay, yeah, we'll take your payment. Like, you'll be fine. You could still make minimum payments doing comedy. Guess what? Instead of staying in the fucking Holiday Inn for $120 a night, now you stay at a shittier hotel and you take that difference and you pay your student loan. To me, to a guy that's failed more than most people have tried, it's just an excuse because your talent is there. Your talent is there. I'm telling you, I wish I could write jokes like you. Like, if you want to write jokes for me, I'll fucking probably be on Comedy Central in a year because the best part about my comedy is the improvisation. You've seen me. It's just like messing with the crowd and that kind of stuff. If I had an actual fucking hour-long thing that I knew by heart that was funny, that I knew how to write, dude, it'd be a fucking rap. It'd be a rap. You've been doing comedy for 7 years, and I got your head in your fucking hands right now. But Matt, the truth is, I've worked with so many other comics that get paid, like headlining gigs and stuff, and they don't write the type of shit that you can write. So, I don't know. I encourage you. Last time I seen you had books for sale. Remember I bought a couple of your books?
Yeah, I gotta get those going again. And
you're putting all the effort.
Now's the time to start pushing the books too, because
merchandise. Listen, you can make money doing comedy multiple different ways.
Merchandise.
Not only I feel like I'm like the alien from Space Jam, the one that tries to catch Michael Jordan to make him play on the fucking planet.
Oh man.
That's funny as fuck.
Don't sell this guy a basketball team, whatever you do. We gotta stay merchandise. We could make
everything better now. Everything's gonna be better now. We got 10,000 Max books coming in. Amazon Prime. We're gonna make it. That's Davey Lozano's impression of me. Is spot on because we're good now. We hang out and he's done a few shows with me. But there was a time where we weren't friends and he did an impression of me once where he said, "You guys want to hear an impression of Vinny Beedle?" And they go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Guys, we're all gonna make it to TV one day. Everybody here is gonna make it. We're gonna be famous." Like his whole impression was just me hyping other people up. Yeah. So I'm good at that. But I've never seen somebody go, you were like in your lap as I'm telling you how great you are. You're like, I'm going home to a dirty couch. This is depressing. And I'm like, fuck, man. Wake the fuck up. I wish I could sell books. You know what? Scumbag Vinny would sell $5 books with nothing in them at shows and just say, I wrote something. You have an actual product. You got a brain. Dude, and most people don't know. Go check out Matt on YouTube. You got clips on YouTube?
Yeah, but there's almost a beauty to selling a book with nothing in it because it's like it's like when you're selling your own shit, it's like also you're selling a little part of your soul too. So it's like you almost feel tempted to just give it to people.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean?
Yeah. But you know what?
And that's like the fucking tough thing about art. You know what I mean?
Not when you used to sell fake fish tickets as a kid, man. I used to sell fucking fake concert tickets and shit. And fake football tickets. I was like 16 doing shit like that. You know? My uncles were selling drugs and fucking killing people and stuff. And so I thought the
Whoa. This is a family podcast, bro.
No, yours is. That's why I told you we shouldn't double record.
We should be dancing. We double record this shit. We don't even know. It's going to be 5-10 things they're gonna pick out of this. Some guys in a van listening to it.
Vinny's uncle, we finally got him. He killed somebody. Fuck. You guys hear episode 42 of 1,000 Comics podcast? How long you been doing 1,000 Comics?
The 1,000 Comics podcast, I've been doing a few years now. I started it in Florida, actually.
So in a few years, you've gotten 40 comics.
Yeah.
that you alone are probably funnier than most of the comics you've had on your podcast.
That's not necessarily true. I mean, funnier, it's such an abstract concept to be funnier than someone. I mean, everyone's got their own spin on it and how they do it. And like, you know, you go the full-on Disney route with it. And you're like, I like how this is an audio podcast, but you're wearing all Disney. All the stuff in here is Disney.
I just feel like there are so many parents that spend millions of dollars every year on this company, Disney.
Yeah.
And some of them go to these parks and they're miserable. They're doing it for their kids and shit. Can you imagine some personality they can relate to that Disney would never sponsor, never pay, but it really represents their company, you know?
You know, the only thing I've really heard that Disney, really cracks down on people for is, people who've made pornos. You know what I mean? So,
actually, that's what you would think, but I know a lot of people who vlog Disney material just for money, like on YouTube. And if they swear or do any adult content, drink beer and stuff, Disney will make sure YouTube does not pay them for those videos.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, dude. They're very strict on how money gets earned through their name. They wouldn't even allow me to open a club in Disney Springs in Orlando because it's not going to be to what their taste
is.
Dude,
it's only a matter of time. Now that Disney owns a TV show like The Simpsons, you'll just start seeing the one where Homer smokes weed, get eliminated from it.
Yeah.
There's gonna be it's dude, they're such bureaucratic fucking. Can I talk about something? Can I talk shit about Disney, or are you
Of course, dude. What the fuck?
Disney's paying me $5 million to do this podcast.
Matt, we're gonna stop recording right now. Did you hear that, honey? Did you hear Matt? It's like we kick you out, and there's just an audio recording in the back of me and my wife talking about you. Well,
I just know that some bureaucratic cunt wife is gonna go and fucking start fucking with The Simpsons, acting like fucking they can control fucking art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I think it's cool that they do. I don't know if you have Disney Plus, but they have all the old Simpsons episodes up.
Yeah.
So at least they haven't edited anything. You know what I mean? or not aired some certain shit. I'm a big fan of the old Simpsons stuff. To me, I feel like anything they do now is a company like Pepe's Pizza, right? And they make such a good pizza, but then they start franchising out, and it's not as good once there's a bunch of them around, and you get Pepe's in Manchester, and it might not taste the same as New Haven. That's what they're doing with the Simpsons nowadays. They're just really bleeding it dry. You know, the thing about Disney is they really fucked over Universal because Universal just invested millions to build the Simpsons land in Universal Orlando.
Right.
And dude, I walked through it. It's amazing. You're in Moe's Tavern.
So what? Do you think they're going to be paying rent on the Simpsons?
They basically have to pay royalties. No, they have to pay royalties to Disney.
All right.
Yeah, they have to pay royalties for the Simpsons. Matt's phone's ringing here. They have to pay royalties to the Simpsons for anybody that buys a ticket to the park. It's not a separate area. So everybody that buys tickets to the park, a certain percentage now goes. Disney will end up owning everything. They're going to monopolize that. coronavirus and Disney are spreading at a rapid rate. You know what I mean? Like, Disney literally owns more shit than we even know. I was, like, watching Disney Plus, and there's some movies on there. Like, this is
I feel
Disney
like
movie.
they'll, I don't know, there's something about, like, a place like Orlando and, like, Disney. I feel like it's such a, like, man-made, like, place where it's, like, the people from, like, probably go out there from, like, Montana or like Utah or wherever, like somewhere like out there, and they'll immediately put them like in the Country Bear Jamboree like section. It's where it's like I'd like a job, Disney. And they're like, well, we got just the job for you. You know, like,
yeah, it's easy to okay, so let's say like they're not going to talk about racial discrimination, but let's say like an Asian student goes to the Disney college, and then they're just like, we have a hard time not putting you in, you know, China and Epcot. You know what I mean? And, like,
yeah.
you know, I went to Epcot, and they have different countries, right? So every place you go is a different country, get a different beer, different food.
Yeah.
Me and my girl went and got some nachos at a Mexican place. Dude, they were, like, 110% Mexican in there. And it kind of startled me. I was kind of like, I get the theming of it, and maybe you gave a Mexican family an opportunity to open a restaurant there, but it kind of just seems like you planted some Mexicans in here to make some tacos. You know what I mean? So to me, I'm like, there's so much that the reason
it's almost like, it's like, what are they doing to like, but it's almost like, I don't know, like the people that own
but
Disney.
the white rich people are in there and they're eating and they're like, honey, this is exactly like Mexico. Look at the Mexican people. That's super racist, you know? The reason I really like Disney World, truthfully, is the origin of Walt Disney himself. A guy that literally was in California, right? Started Disneyland. That shit's a success. He literally traded the fucking Davy Crockett show to pay for Disneyland.
You know, I was actually, like, I went to Disney World when I was in high school, and I actually, like, what I wanted to do is I had this girl, she's like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I actually just want to, like, go into that little Disney museum and watch that fucking video about Disney and kind of, like, read about Disney, because this guy was so fucking brilliant.
Dude, there's nobody smarter than him.
You know what I mean?
I swear to God, what he did, he literally made Florida a state. It was swampland, bro.
Right.
And this guy came in. Not only did he make Florida a state, but he defined half of our country, because 95, that highway that goes straight through to Florida, was literally built, like, to go to Florida for fucking tourists. All that businesses along 95 that still exist today are because of Disney World.
Right.
You can drive from here to Orlando and before planes and all that shit, and you can see all the dying old businesses that used to be around, how many families literally survived because of tourism. And now there's 80 million people a year that go there, bro. 80 million people a year that go there. This guy said, so he was in California, and he had the idea for Disneyland. He literally made a television network, the Davy Crockett television show, just so they would pay for the construction of the place. That's a Vinny Beedle move all day. You know what I mean? I'll give you this, but you give me this. So his first park, he didn't even pay to open. Then when he thought of Disney World, he said, I'm going to create a place that people are going to go and they're going to want to, like, move there. And now the real estate market, let's not talk about Disney or nothing. The real estate market in Orlando, there's some odd, like, 200-something people a day that just move there. A day. That just move there. Buying homes in Orlando, Matt?
Right.
You could go online, look for a home, go see it in Orlando, and somebody online will buy 10 homes, or an investor. It's like the stock market. They're home fuck. It's just constant, like buy and sell, rental properties, this and that. Most of it's probably not regulated. A lot of it's probably illegal as fuck, especially all the money coming to Disney. Who the hell could keep track of that? Who the hell is going to keep the IRS? There are millions and billions of dollars that come in and out of this place, man. In and out of this fucking place. All these little Indian shops that are all along International Drive in Orlando sell all these shitty Disney merchandise and all this shit. Who the fuck's going in there and checking on their shit? Really? You know? When I was in Atlantic City, Trump took all the money out of that city when he closed the casinos. And we were illegally selling tickets to tourists on the street. The cops would come up to us and be like, you know, do you have a permit? And we would say no at the beginning. And they would say, well, you're bringing money into the city. It's really struggling. Like, there are parts of America, dude, that are so ungoverned.
Right.
That, like, it's kind of like there's nothing really. I mean, it's almost in a sense like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the theory that we think the government's bigger than it is. Like, imagine they don't tell us the size of it. Sure, we have a military, but really, there's if they put in martial law into effect and the government starts telling the military to do something, if the military decides to not do it because they don't feel comfortable shooting a fucking American civilian or whatever the hell they say, the government has the right to hire out of fucking country, servicemen from other countries to come in and start doing it themselves. And that's how a revolution will start, really. I know we've gotten kind of like off topic with this, but I don't know, man. I just feel like in Orlando specifically, it's such a growing market and there's so much happening that it's perfect for a place like me, man.
No,
it's perfect for a place like
what really bothers me about a place like Orlando, though? That's where all the fucking perverts are, man.
Dude, they're everywhere, bro. They're fucking everywhere. Perverts are fucking everywhere, bro. You would never even believe how many sex offenders live in New Britain. Live where we live. Like, it's disgusting, dude. It's disgusting. I fucking hate it. I'll never live here long term. I literally have I lived in East Haven, where like my mom would tell me to go outside in the morning and come back at night when I was a kid, right? Like it was kind of safe like that.
Right.
There's a guy that lived 4 doors down from me. He had a camera, so when you knocked on his doorbell, rang his doorbell, it would pop up. Me and my friends never knew what it was. Like I was like 22 years old. This guy ended up getting arrested, and had previous records for years about like child shit, like fucking with kids and stuff. And I was like, this guy lived next to us for all these years.
That's fucked up.
Most of the media nowadays, if you think about it, dude, cell phones 15 years ago, there was no smartphone shit like that.
Right.
So nowadays, everything is right in the palm of your hands. But it's not new. This isn't new. This is stuff that's been going on that now people are just seeing because we can do this. We can take our phone and film anything at any time. But really, dude, this kind of shit's been going on for hundreds of years. Child molestation, child trafficking, sex trafficking. Look at Epstein. The guy was a fucking billionaire, bro. Billionaire had his own island that presidents went to and shit like that. It's the government now is trying to put fear in our hearts, sure, sometimes because they realize that the media.
Yeah, but that's so that I feel like that it kind of exactly speaks to my point. What the perverts are there, man, but it's like, dude, the most perverted people are like the people with money.
Yeah.
And it's like they sucker you in a place like that.
Yeah.
You know?
I've worked with people in the comedy business, and I won't say who or anything like that because it's just, I don't want to get into it. I've worked with people that have had so much money in this business that they have acted inappropriately, sexually, not toward me, but toward women around me, just making comments. And they thought maybe I'd be okay with it because they'd be paying me a bunch of money. And I'm telling you right now, dude, I was never okay with no shit like that. I would blast the fuck out of them, but I just don't feel the need to because I'm friends with somebody that they work with really closely. But I see it even at a low level. I'm talking like just having a few $1,000 around. The guy thinks he can fucking do whatever the fuck he wants. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, guys don't see it. We don't see that shit. We don't see the whole, how basically there are certain type of dudes that once women are around and nobody else is around, they act completely different. It's the same kind of thing when white people aren't around black people and then you see the racism come out a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has like a little front that they put up. You know what I mean? I was raised by a single mom with 4 sisters. So I was raised by 5 women. So I've always had this overprotective like sense toward women. You know what I mean? Because I always felt like I couldn't protect them. I was the youngest. So I was a little boy in a house with all these women and I felt like, man, something fucking happened here. My mom bringing a boyfriend home or like one of my sisters having a new guy around and I'm like 10 years old. Like, what the fuck am I going to do if something happens? You know what I mean? And so I never really had that mentality, but imagine being like a household of all boys growing up with no sense of respect for women and everything is about who's getting laid and who's not amongst brothers and uncles. And there are households like that, and then they grow up with no respect toward women, no boundaries. And then there's the other group of people that are isolating themselves in the world, autistic. Even I'm being serious because I've learned a lot about autism, and there's a huge difference between being retarded and autistic. There could be so many normal people in the world that you don't even know are autistic, but they're fucking autistic as shit.
Yeah.
And they isolate themselves in their home, and their mind of thinking's all they know because they're always home by themselves and shit. So if they start thinking this is okay, they're going to convince themselves after a while it is. You know what I mean? Especially since most of the time they might not be getting caught doing some fucking dumb shit they're doing. You know? So you got the rich guys that are more out there about it, but they could pay people off and stuff. And then you have these other fucking weirdos who really are alone. And that speaks truth to how our society is. Like, when you grow up as a kid, Matt, you're a kid and you growing up in a society where like they teach you at school. What do they always tell you? enjoy school while you can. You're going to regret it. All your friends are here, and you always think to yourself, like, what do they mean by that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. I'll always have my friends. And then when you're older and you're fucking 28 years old and you don't even have a girlfriend and you're home alone in your house and all your mental shit's starting to come to you. And, dude, I have friends in East Haven that I'll text and I'll be like, hey, man, how you doing? And he'll think I'm coming after him. He'll think, like, I'm fucking, like, you were never there for me anyway. Fuck you. Like, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? I'm living in a more public world.
But then again, Vinny, it's like you never know where people are at in their lives. You know, it's like
I was always a very self-centered person for a long time, where I thought wherever the person was the last time I talked to him is where we left off. Like, and you know what I mean? I would see someone like you and say the last time we talked we had a great time at Nomads or something, and then let's just say I didn't see you until now. I would assume that if you were working a great job and had a girl and everything was good. And so I might act accordingly in that time period of my life where I would be acting as if everything's great with me, and really that person's like, fuck, man, this shit is getting serious for me, man. This Vinny, everything's so easy for him. How is this? So I started becoming more sensitive to, like, people's actual lives, what they're going through, what's something I might do, how it might affect them, And, dude, this is all very brand new thinking for me, literally. Because, I'll be honest, once Bam canceled all those shows, I know most people think, like, why does he always talk about this? But it changed my life forever. I talk about it a lot. I'm over $150,000 in debt from comedy that I still owe out.
Right.
$150,000 because I went for the big one. This guy was working with Live Nation, only getting 20% of ticket sales. And I convinced him to come with me to do a full tour, and I would get a bigger percentage, and so would he. But I had to fund everything. So every comic I ever asked for money, and this is before Nomads, dude. I also opened a self-funded comedy club, worked with TJ Miller, worked with a drug addict, Artie Lange. It was just like every good thing that people thought was happening to me was putting me more and more in debt because I thought it was going to be the thing to make me rich. Or famous, A lot of people don't know. I got into some legal trouble and was forced to go to a little drug program for a few days for weed. It was just before I got my weed license, I had to go to this program. I ended up staying for 6 weeks because I found out that my addiction wasn't with marijuana or any substance. It was with this business and trying to make it. There'd be heroin addicts in the same room as me, and I'm doing talks about what I would do to make sure that I was working with who I wanted to work with and doing what I wanted to do. And these guys were relating to me because they would do the same type of thing to get some dope. So I realized I really had a serious issue, dude. Serious issue that I still deal with to this day. It's the same kind of addiction like gambling. It doesn't get you high, but the feeling that you get. And it's the same thing we get from comedy. When you get off stage and you're feeling so good because you had a good show. How hard is it to come down from that? Some comedians like Artie Lange, because they perform in front of thousands of people, literally need speedballs to come down from it. And they still don't, you know?
In a sense, like, he's such a caricature of himself, Because and he knows it too. Like,
they all taught me the same thing. You can't run from who you really are. So if you start portraying, like this kid, actually, there's a club promoter.
But to me, always seems like he's just like a fat guy trying to run away from something. And in a sense, that's the funniest thing in the world. Like,
well, I know for a fact that he leaned on the fat thing because of Chris Farley. He's seen Farley being the funny fat guy.
But it's crazy because
he's a smarter joke writer and shit.
It's like just like Farley became Belushi. Friggin' Lange became Farley, dude, with the nose and everything.
Yeah, it's
man.
Crazy. It's crazy. Artie actually is. I gotta say, man, Artie Lange in person. You know how you say, "Oh, I'll get along with somebody if I meet him," because of my Italian upbringing and the fact that my uncles had me gambling and hustling early and that kind of shit.
Right.
Just my demeanor around him, which was nothing talking about any of that. Just how I acted around him. He felt so comfortable with me, dude. He would literally pull me to the side and be like, Vinny, you're the type of kid that I grew up with. I can't explain it any other than that. I need you around just because you're real with me. I would tell him all the time, that shit's going to kill you, man. He would never do drugs in front of me, but I would say, dude, whatever, because his nose would be fucked up and shit. I'd say, dude, that shit's going to kill you. And I would say to myself, you've been doing drugs longer than I've been alive, right? I mean, 30 years plus is probably how long he's been doing drugs. I've never done a hard drug. I don't know what it does to me. I would tell him, though, if this is the way you actually want to go out, like, who's going to stop you? You're Artie Lange. One time, dude, we had to bring him to a show, and Andre Kim was our driver for a while, and he would open up for us. And there was one time that I'm in Connecticut at a gig, 300 people at a theater, and Artie Lange's got to come from New Jersey. The show's at 8. It's now 5. Right? And I say, Andre, get him in the fucking car and let's go. And Andre's been waiting outside, and he goes, dude, he's not coming down. He wouldn't come. He has like a fucking thing. You got to get buzzed up to go to his house. Big fucking beautiful place in Hoboken, overseeing New York City. It's
right.
Like, yeah. So, and he would let us up, but this particular time he didn't let Andre up. So Andre's like, what do I do? I got another gig to get to at 10. He goes, he was just bringing him, doing 5 minutes and then going to his other gig, and I would get to take Artie home. And I was like, dude, I don't know what the fuck to tell you, bro. I don't know. I'm like stressing the fuck out. All of a sudden, dude, Artie, who had supposedly been having like back problems or whatever, comes. Now, Andre's parked there, and he doesn't know Andre's parked there. Artie comes running out of his house, grabs something from somebody, sprints back inside, like hop, skip, and a jump back in the house, goes upstairs, and in that moment I said, Artie, and he had fucked me a few times with gigs, but never intentionally, and I said, Artie, fuck me tonight, you know what I mean? And I was like, fuck, Artie, fuck me tonight. And Andre goes, I gotta get out of here, and I said, okay, man, and he left. 300 people, this is a Brad Axelrod show, okay? 300 people in a theater. Brad never even allowed me in when he would have Artie previously, but Artie called him one time and said, if Vinny doesn't bring me to the show, I'm not going. So then they had to start letting me around. But this show, I was actually opening for Artie.
I can imagine Artie is probably, because he's like, you say he's like in his room, like doing God knows what most of the time.
Right, yeah.
And like, I could just imagine like he's like yelling at a bowl of mashed potatoes, going, I'm tired of Vinny and his Mickey Mouse bullshit.
I didn't have any of the Disney shit around before when he was
and
around.
then he doesn't eat any of the mashed potatoes.
Nah, I actually always figured that he wasn't even doing his drugs as much as people thought. Like, obviously, if you do any amount of drugs, it'll get you fucked up, right?
Right.
I think he would just do a little bit of drugs and just fucking, like, watch TV and lay down. Like a normal person, like, I just want to lay down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know how many people think that's the time you're normal? You're just like, I just want to fucking lay down all day. I'm depressed or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's the kind of shit I thought he was really doing. You know what I mean? And, like, having that anxiety, which he talks about now that he's clean. He won't go to shows if he has anxiety. So I knew that about him because he would just be in there for fucking 4 or 5 hours. Sometimes we'd be in his living room waiting for him to come out. Anyways, I'm, like, there, and I'm thinking, 300 fucking people, Matt. I'm like, what the fuck, man? What am I going to do, I'm like, I got to open for this guy.
It's got to be difficult to be completely self-aware that and know that of his, like, celebrity in the world. You know what I mean?
For me or for him?
For him.
Yeah, to have that.
It's a lot of weight to carry. You know what I mean?
I think Bam experiences that more than Artie. You'd be able to see Artie go to a pizza place a lot more than you see Bam Margera walking in somewhere in public.
Yeah, but you see, with Bam Margera, it's a whole different thing, too, because it's almost like he's got, like, this, it's just a whole vibe of, like, and this is what I wanted to say to you earlier about the compliment I wanted to give to you at the beginning, was that, like, you've created this whole, like, subgenre of, like, what they started. You know what I mean? Where they got, like, the CKY, and then they were the Jackass Crew, and then, like, you're kind of like the podcast guy, like the newer podcast guy that kind of falls into that whole, realm of things. You know what I mean?
I gotta be honest, man. I really don't know. I have not known one step to take since working with him if it was gonna be right or wrong. I just wanted to. Like, at first, I wanted to make a lot of money with him, but then as people would tell me around him, like, we're not going to give you the fame you want, like Steve-O and his wife and his mom, people would tell me that. We're never going to acknowledge you. We're never,
Yeah.
That's what made me want it more. So then I started to, like, when I went on Come Town and I got voted the worst guest, I was in the car with Bam, and I was getting all these texts and shit, like, you're a fucking loser, and, like, kill yourself, and thousands of them. And I was like, dude, they hate me. And I looked at him like, none of this tour is going to work. We were on, like, the second show of our tour. And I said, they're hate me. This will never work. This is before he canceled anything. We actually did 2 good shows, We did Detroit sold out and Connecticut sold out. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like, it'll never work. They only came for you. It'll just never work. And he said, Vinny, lean into it. He goes, You have to. You're going to hate yourself. You're going to hate how they look at you. You're going to hate the character.
Vinny, you know, 'cause I can see with you're a sensitive person, and it's like, dude, they say all bad publicity is good publicity, but when it's happening to you,
It sucks.
it's like, oh, you know, like,
because everything you worked for, I've been doing it for 10 years at that
speaks to what he's saying, is lean into it.
Yeah,
now.
because
you know
he's you have no choice now. You know what I mean? You're already in the shit of it, and that's what he told me. You're in the shit of it. Listen, man, this guy would literally sit down with me and say, "We're gonna choreograph shit. This is reality TV. Now you're in the mix of it." He goes, "We're gonna do. Me and you are gonna fight constantly." He's like, "You'll get more and more and more famous. I don't care if they hate you. One day," he goes, "if we ever do pull together a tour that works," this is what he said. He didn't tell me when. "If it ever works, you'll probably be more loved than I am." He said, "You don't understand." His dynamic with that kid Novak, who was like his best friend for years, was that Novak was a dope addict, right? And so Novak would always get fucked up, and Bam would save him, and constantly like back and forth arguing and all this shit. Bam knew I wasn't into drugs. Dude, they party. Right. You could get fucked up if you're with him pretty easy. He knew I wasn't into drugs, but my drug was money, and he knew it. This guy would literally send me pictures of piles of money, Matt. You know, and just be like, "You wish you had this." You know, and I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, I do, dude. What do I gotta do?" "All right, let's fucking do this. I'm gonna text you this, post it, and people will think that we're fighting again." And it would just kind of keep stirring. You know, one time we did a bunch of shows, and every time he canceled, I feel like he did it on purpose to like keep it going. Like, and I would get sucked back in because he would sincerely get on the phone and say, "I am so sorry. I will make it up to you this time. I'll fucking be there." His managers would try to cancel it. His wife would try to cancel it, and he would fuck you, and break shit in the house, and I'm going to support Vinny, and then not show up. Like, and it would just completely deepen the character. The only reason that I even have a podcast now is this Nick Mullen from Cumtown, dude. That kid brought me back on a second time.
Right.
And I walked into that room thinking, you know, I have some scumbag stories, but I'm going to fabricate as much as I can, and I'm going to be the biggest piece of shit. If they ask me something, I'm going to give them the most fucked up answer I can think of. They asked me some fucked up shit on that show.
Yeah.
And dude, you know, Scumbag Vinny was born, and listen, that became the brand. And then I was like, fuck it, now I could roll with it. Now I got something to roll with, because at least those people from that episode were hitting me up like, "Dude, you're so funny. Oh my God, I can't believe we thought you were a faggot." You know, and I was like, okay, this works. You know, this works a little bit. This could work. I went from having a million people hate me to having 800,000 people hate me, and 100,000 people kind of fucking not know, and then, you know, 50,000 people think I'm okay, and 50,000 people love me. You know what I mean? And so I was like, oh, wow, this is better than struggling for 10 years, Heath, in comedy, having fucking 1,400 followers and not go anywhere.
You know something, Vin? You're fucking kind-hearted, but you're also a cutthroat businessman. That's what, like, you're in the predicaments you're in most of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but dude, I was also that 19-year-old kid that would show up to a club in New Haven when they promised me a few hundred and nobody would be there and they don't give me any money. And then I'd be like, people think I wasn't on the other side of the cutthroat. You know what I mean? I've been doing this for almost 12 years. Like, I've been on the other side of cutthroat numerous fucking times. I've been fucked by the same people that'll tell you that I fucked them. You know, so to me, I'm just not the type to complain about it. I get up and I keep pushing, and I finally realized that I got to do it myself, Matt. That's all it was. You know what I mean? But then you become the opposite side of that table.
All right, here's an idea for a new character. I think you should play. You should be like the Italian guy that works at Pixar, yelling at the Asian people to build more pixels. Come on, you gotta do the productivity's down. You fellas gotta get to building more pixels.
Dude, like a mafia type run organization that's just fucking coming up with characters and storylines and shit.
No, it's nothing.
Pixels?
It's nothing creative. It's
literally
the
computer work.
It's just like cubes.
They're just making
you're building like yellow, pink cubes.
I see.
Shit like that.
Maybe it could work.
They got bored. I got a board with a nail in it. Do what I say.
I don't know, man. I never really thought of myself as somebody who abused labor laws. I do a lot of scams, man, but that's fucked up. You know what I mean? I don't know. I probably have a little heart when it comes to actually watching the people do it and their fucking hands bleeding and shit. I've always had sympathy. Most of my
This
scams...
is to build a giant Simba. It's gonna be a beautiful thing.
We're only on 1 foot. We've been here for a month, and you built a foot. You piece of shit. And I take somebody back and just have Joe Pesci beat him with a phone. You know, like an old, like, house phone. And he just beats the shit out of the Asian guy. And I bring the guy back in the room, and now everybody knows that we got to get this Simba out at production time. Because that's how Disney does business, baby.
Oh my god.
That's funny, dude. That's funny.
So, I guess this wraps it up for the 1,000 Comics podcast.